Now this will tell us. And that's pretty conclusive. Still going. Close. I think he got it down.
How strong is he?
Kia ora team, and welcome back to TAB's Pick and Go Rugby podcast. My name is Karl Paul, joined by my good mate Paul Mawate. Paul, a few technical issues early, but we've started. We're recording now. How you going?
I guess when we rely on you to be our IT department, there's always going to be some issues here or there. But yeah, very good to be back, and can't wait for this Rugby World Cup to get started. We're only a matter of days away. And what a way to kick off the tournament as well, with a huge match. I want it to get underway.
I do too, and it's not far away. Today's guest and co-host, he is an Auckland rugby stalwart through the turn of the century. Played 78 games for Auckland, 70 for the Blues, 10 tests for New Zealand, which included the 2003 World Cup. And I'm not sure I can use this joke again, but he was on the Vortex Mega Howler ad. It is the great Steve Devine. Steve, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, boys. Very well indeed. Excited.
Well, we've already done the first half of the show, so we can get through this pretty quickly again. Quick rundown of what's coming today, team. We're going to look at all the games, the bigger games this week. Start one, bench one, cut one is back, controversy corner, and we will round out with some betting. Quickly, though, informal introductions. Paul, I've asked you to have a look at if you're an international rugby team, which would you be and why?
Oh, look, I'd definitely be the Fijians. They're known for their flair on the football field. I'm known for my flair on the dance floor. And very much like the Fijians in past World Cup tournaments, they're usually gone by the end of pool play. I'm usually in bed by midnight.
I've seen otherwise in live in action, but we'll go with it. Steve, you?
I'm going to go with the Georgians. I think they're a tough team, and I am actually predicting them to get a win over the Aussies this weekend. They've got the underdog status. They're quite a lot of them now are playing professional rugby. They beat Wales last year. I think they can. I think they can do the damage against an Aussie team that might struggle a little bit up front against some well-known wrestlers.
Big call early doors, and we will get to that game shortly. For me, I've said South Africa. Like to think I can perform at a pretty high level 90% of the time, but don't be surprised if there's a big upset by the way of Japan 2015. Quick round table. We've all said probably New Zealand France is the game of the match this week. Sorry,
Of the week.
game of the week.
The match of the
week.
game.
That's where it's going.
Yeah.
But if you were to pick another game, Steve, we'll start with you. Which one are you most excited by?
I'm really looking forward to the Scotland-South Africa match. This has huge ramifications for us towards the end of pool play and in the quarterfinals. So, I think the Scots will be back on themselves, and if they can get a quick free-flowing match and get the ball in play and keep it running around, I think they're a chance over South Africa.
I'm going to have to agree, and I'll jump in here because that's the game I had too. That one and another one, which I reckon you will say, Paul, your match?
England, Argentina.
Okay.
That's the big match for me after the opening match.
After the opening one?
Yep. I think this is a very, very important match in terms of how far either one of those teams want to progress in the tournament. I know they're on the easier side of the draw. I think winning the pool is vitally important. So, that one there, England, Argentina. And, of course, England will be without a couple of their big players. Owen Farrell, banned for the first couple, and Vunipola out for that first match against Argentina. Those two big outs for the Poms, and Argentina coming in on the back of some very, very good results. So that could, in fact, I think it will decide he'll get through to the semi-finals.
Nice. As I said, Steve, I was with you. I like the look of the Scottish leading into this tournament, and I like their chances. It's a big test for them, and they know they're going to have to get one of these games early doors if they're any chance of progressing. It's going to be a tight game. I think the line's set at 12.5 at the moment. It's probably fair, but yeah, looking forward to that. The other one I had too was the Fijian game versus Wales. That would be fun. Nice. Get to work early on a Monday and watch some code before we start. That'll be good. All right, let's rip into the proper previews, I think. And we will start with the big one. France v New Zealand. France currently at $1.97, New Zealand $1.77. France missing a few big names. We talked last week, Paul, about Roman Intermac out for the tournament. Jonathan Dante's going to miss the first game, and Cyril Bale also out. Geordie Barrett in doubt for New Zealand. Stephen, your initial thoughts for this game?
Initially, I'm not too worried about it at all. There's sort of no. These two teams, New Zealand, the French are going to finish 1 and 2 in the pool, probably without too much of an issue. So it doesn't really matter. They're playing Ireland, Africa, or Scotland on the other side. So it just doesn't really matter who wins or loses this match. Obviously, bragging rights will probably help, but I don't mind. Storing a bit of anger up. Obviously, we were disappointed against the African performance a couple of weeks ago, but yeah, listen, I don't really mind if we lose this match. Everything the New Zealand side's steered towards the quarterfinal. I sort of still hope we're in a bit of a training phase, still building up to that quarterfinal. If we hit this game peaking, 2003, we got to the first match and we were, everyone was so super fit and ready to rumble. By the time we got around to quarterfinals, semi-finals, we're starting to fall off the other end. So, I'm sort of hoping New Zealand is going in and it's still a little bit underdone, and they've got another 4 or 5 weeks working up towards that quarterfinal to really get to where they want to be, and that's the most important game, is that quarterfinal. So, it's going to be a tight match, I hope, but I'm not too worried about the result, I guess.
Nice, Paul. What are you along the same lines? We briefly discussed this last week, but
yeah, this is sort of the polar opposite of in my opinion, of the England-Argentina game, where I think there's a whole lot rests on that game between the Poms and the Argentinians. This game, it doesn't really matter who wins or loses, because I don't know who they're going to be matched up against until after they see that South Africa-Ireland matchup. And either team will be very, very hard to beat in the quarterfinals. So they know they're probably going to be facing one of those two. Maybe Scotland at a push. I don't think so. I think that pool sort of sorts itself out. Pool B, South Africa and Ireland. So in terms of this, I think there's more onus on the French to win this game. They've got that controversy around the new lock that they've just introduced to the squad. I think they will be very, very keen to get the whole of France behind them again, and to do that, a win against the All Blacks in the opening match is the easiest way. So I think they'll be all out to win this game. The All Blacks, I think, will just want to get through with a good run. No injuries, of course. Of course, Lomax, he's got that cut in his knee, so he won't be taking part in the. You already said Geordie Barrett won't be there. So I think in terms of the All Blacks, they want to get some combinations going, look good. If they win, fine. But I don't think it's the end of the world if they lose. But I think it's more important for the French in terms of how they progress in this tournament, for how they go in this match, though. I'm actually keen to back the French in a tight one.
Okay. Looking, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves already, but looking at those quarterfinal matchups, is there a preference between South Africa and Ireland, in your opinion?
No. It's going to be. I mean, you can't predict it. It could be Scotland as well, but yeah, you just can't predict it. And at that, once you hit a quarterfinal, you got to be on song. That's when you got to be at your peak. And if you're good enough, you get another week, and then if you're good enough again, you get another week. But everything is got to be geared towards that quarterfinal, and who that is, it doesn't really matter. Ireland's going to be tough. South Africa's going to be tough. So Scotland will be tough. It just doesn't matter. You just got to be ready to play your best footy quarterfinal weekend.
Yeah,
we know they're both tough. I mean, we just lost to South Africa at Twickenham, not too long ago, and of course the Irish picked up their first Test series victory in New Zealand last time they were there. So both teams will be very, very tough.
Just the reason, the reason I think the Scotland South Africa game is so big is because Ireland have Scotland and then South Africa at the end of their pool. So if Scotland can win this, it pretty much means the Irish team will have to play their two hardest pool matches and then a quarterfinal, 3 in a row. I think if South Africa win this, I think the Irish will play the B team against Ireland, not wanting to get too many injuries and give the big boys a break, so they don't have to play sort of 5 really tough matches in a row. So I'm sure the Irish will be sweating on the Africans to win this, and then the Irish will back themselves to beat Scotland and guaranteed to come second. So I'm pretty sure that's what they're going to do. So it's sort of a big fixture in terms of who we're going to play in the quarterfinals.
There was no, I've lost it. I thought Tonga play 1 game to Ireland's 3, I think, but never mind. That's something else. In regards to New Zealand lining up this week, are we expecting just a pretty standard team to be rolled out? You think, Steve? Any selection surprises? You think we're in for?
I don't think so. I think depending on Frizzell, I think if he's fit and available, then he starts guaranteed. The only thing, if he's not fit and available, we may see Scott Barrett move to 6, possibly. Obviously, Lomax is out, so they'll just bring in a prop. And then the other real issue will be if Geordie's out, probably covered by Anton Leonard-Brown in the 12 jumper. So other than that, I imagine it's pretty much going to be pretty close to what started either the test in Auckland against the South Africans or the one at Twickenham. I'm pretty sure that'll be the ones they go with. Will Jordan on the wing and Bodie Barrett at the back.
We had a discussion last week about Will Jordan and where his best position is. I'd be interested in your take here, and I think myself, Paul, and Izzy Dag were all sort of the opinion that maybe it's time we see him in the 15 jumper and Bodie on the bench. What do you think there?
Oh, he's the number 1 fullback in the country, and I 100% agree that he probably deserves the right to start at fullback. But in saying that, let's get this one out of the way. Then we've got sort of 3 other games to get a bit of confidence and string a few plays and get a bit of cohesion going. So, yeah, I think just as a bit of a one-off, they'll probably keep it pretty close to what they've had earlier in the year, where they've had success against South Africa and Auckland, and seen 2 weeks ago when we played Africa, because the team didn't change a lot from that other than injuries. So I can't imagine it'll change too much more for this one.
Yeah. Anything to add there, Paul?
No, 100%. Fozzie's been fairly conservative throughout his tenure as All Black coach. And outside of injuries, I think we're going to see a very similar side to the one that ran out against the South Africans at Twickenham.
Okay.
I probably think Roygaard will come onto the bench as halfback after what he did at Twickenham. So that might be a little change where he'll get another chance off the bench at 9.
He was one of the few bright spots in that test match. Boy, oh boy, did he make a bit of a difference when he came on.
Yeah, big body around the ruck. Always nice to have.
Yeah, he ran well, and they were in sort of desperation mode at that stage to run well. So, and he got himself the hands on the ball and supported well. So yeah, he is that little bit extra that we have off the bench, a bit of a running game. So I'd imagine that they'll keep giving him a bit more time and let him mature and get a couple of big games because it's a big stadium. The crowd is absolutely deafening there. So giving the younger boys a bit of a heads up of what's coming later in the tournament will be pretty good.
All Blacks did lose there last time they played France.
Yep.
I think
You love throwing stats out.
I
so
do, yeah.
I'm just throwing one
I
out
like
there.
stats. I like stats.
Yeah.
Before we move on and get a prediction for this game, another one we discussed quickly last week, Steve, the omission of Brad Weber in the halfback sort of triangle there. What are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, I thought Finlay Christie's been, close to being the best halfback in the country this year. If you look through his super form, it was pretty outstanding. So I was always leaning towards Christie over Weber. Personally, and then I thought Weber would go instead of Roygaard, to be fair, but they've brought the young fella in and given him a run, and that's where it is. So I just think Brad's when those real tight decisions happen, someone who's signed to go offshore tends to be left alone to the person that's staying in the country, and I think maybe that's even though he's a Chiefs boy and Fozzie's a Chiefs boy. I thought they might have got him over the line, but they're not in this case. They've gone with the boys that hang around next year, which I think is a good option.
All righty. Prediction time for game one. Paul, your winner and a margin.
Oh, I've got France 1-12, currently $3. I just think that home crowd will get them over the line in the end. I like the way they performed against the Wallabies. What was it, a week or two back? They look very, very sharp, even though, they were without Intermac. Obviously, they've been without him for a few weeks, so they've been building towards this. But they look very, very good, very sharp. And that sort of halves pairing really looked good. So, yeah, I've got France 1-12, $3.
Steve, where are you going this one?
I'm going to go New Zealand. I'm going to go New Zealand 1-12. It'll be tight. But the French play, really a good game when their game is allowed to be played, and that's quickly over the advantage line. They've lost their big 12 that, really assists them getting over the advantage line and getting quick ball. So, I was at the game at Eden Park against not at Eden Park, at Mount Smart against the South Africans, and the defence I seen that night, if we can defend like that and play like that and be as physical as that, I don't think there's a team in the world that'll stop New Zealand. And I just, I just think maybe that, they got their bum smacked 2 weeks ago at Twickers, and I just think they're going to be up for this one. So expect a big defensive game from the All Blacks, and I just, if they cannot allow the French to get over the advantage line quickly, I think they'll go all right. When the French can do that, you're in for a very tough day at the office, and they've proven that. A couple of weeks ago they weren't so good, and then they sort of clicked in a gear and got over the advantage line, scored some long range tries against Australia. So I just think we'll be able to defend better than what we have against South Africa last time around, and it'll be tight. Probably come down to maybe a penalty towards the end of the match. It'll be tight, but I don't care if New Zealand lose, but I also think they'll probably scrape home.
If they keep 15 players on the field, there'll be a
good chance.
A good chance. Yeah. Hopefully they've sort of done a few things at training to adjust to the Northern Hemisphere, I guess, way of reading the game. So, yeah, it'll be good to see them with 15 on the field and just see how they go. And, discipline.
Who's the referee?
That is a great question. I've got it open here.
Is it the African? Pup?
Paper.
Yeah. I reckon we'll go all right. It'll be an open flying match. I reckon we'll go between 1 and 12.
I've also got New Zealand 1-12. I think they've played some of their best rugby under Fozzie this year. Like Steve said, that game against South Africa at Mount Smart was incredible to watch. So I think a little bit of a wake-up call the other week against South Africa at Twickenham, but they'll be back. Boys will be back. All right, next one we are looking at Australia, $1.03 versus Georgia, $10. Australia coming in, having lost 5 straight. Slippers probably out. Georgia have won 5 of their last 6. Eddie Jones, though, he's very confident in his men, or says he's very confident. Steve, you are not.
Listen. I've watched a bit of this Georgian team, right, and I've had a chat to the coaches. One of the coaches, Paul Tito, who's over there assisting them. They are just going to set piece the bejeebers out of Australia. They're going to go from line out to line out, from scrum to scrum, not giving them much room. These boys are big and strong. They love a ruck. They love a scrum, and they love it rolling ball. So, it's not going to be easy for them, but if they can keep the game slow, not give the Aussies quick ball over the advantage line, they're in with a real shot at this. I honestly think they can. Their set piece can get on top of Australia. Slipper's gone. I just think this is not a foregone conclusion. This match, I think the Georgians are going to go close, like really close. And at $13 for a win, why wouldn't you put a little bit on them?
I like that, Paul. What do you think?
Very hard to disagree with that.
Especially when you get the inside running from the coaching staff.
Exactly. And these two teams met the last World Cup, and I think the Aussies struggled to put them away. I think in the end they won by about 15 or 16, something like that, 27-8, 27-10, something like that. But as Steve says, they're just going to go from set piece to set piece. They will tackle anything that moves. Their captain, the fullback, what plays as rugby for Lyon. This is that they've improved from the 4 years ago. This won't be a walk in the park for the Wallabies. So I'm just checking what the point start is, because I think we may be
22.5, I think.
Oh, give me the plus 22.5 now. I'll go to bed with it.
Oh, that'd be the count on that one.
20. Oh, here you go. 23.5.
Oh,
there you go. He gets another point.
Wow,
Actually won 2 games in 2015, and they finished third in the pool with us and Argentina. I take it they beat Tonga and Namibia. And then
they beat Wales last year at in Cardiff. So
yes.
They're no slouches on their day. And let me tell you, they'll be ready. They've been teeing this one up for 4 years. They just can't wait. I've heard the forwards, even when the backs drop the ball, their forwards get excited because it's scrum time. It's not even their ball, but they're still excited about a scrum.
You got to be slightly unhinged if that's the case. which is a little bit worrying for the Australians.
Yeah, 2019, Australia 27, Georgia 8.
Yeah. Australia, I can't really get a good read on this. Australia have been terrible for a long time now. And I haven't seen enough of Georgia to sort of comment strongly either way, but you've filled me with confidence in what you've said, Steve. So it'll be an interesting one. And if Australia can't win convincingly, then the sort of self-belief within that unit will be shot to pieces early doors, and their tournament could be over before it starts. I've already said last week I don't think they'll get out of the pool. And they certainly won't if they lose this one. So an interesting one to watch.
I'll just let you know that 56% of the turnover on the match result book for this game is on Georgia.
At $10.
Yes.
Yeah, good.
So
I've been talking Georgia up on SCNZ radio for the last probably 3 months. So there's probably a few people listening to me. I hope I get this one right.
They'll be coming after you otherwise. All right, give us a prediction. You've got Georgia 1-12, I presume, Steve?
Yeah, well, it'll be tight. It's never going to be a blowout. Georgia 1-12, definitely.
Paul?
Look, I'm very, very happy to take Georgia plus 23.5. But I'm going to go the Wallabies 1-12 at 450.
Okay. I will stick with my original thought. I think Australia will win. I'll take the 13 plus, but there's no real confidence in that. I don't think it'll be a pretty 13 plus. I think if they want to kick on, they need a good showing here. The next game we will look at, Paul, your game of the round. England $1.77, Argentina $1.97. Where are my notes? I read something earlier this week, Borthwick insisting he will not change his analytical approach to their tactical game. They have lost 5 of their last 6. And I had a look at the points. The most points they've scored in that span, 22 in one game. They've averaged only 14 a game in those 6 and conceded on average 29 points. Steve, England, Argentina, how do you see this one going?
Yeah, I see the Argies getting up. They're a good team. They're big and strong. They'll be able to match England with firepower. England have a couple of big boys out in Farrell and Big Billy. So, yeah, I just think if the Argies can keep a cool head, I think they'll go all right. But yeah, sometimes the heat of the battle can get a little bit much for them. But if they bring their game, they've beaten the All Blacks at home last year. They've beaten Africa away. So I just think the Argies are a very good team, and they're on the right side of the pool, on the right side of the draw. They'll go very deep into this tournament. I'm expecting them to walk into a quarterfinal, into a semi-final even.
Yeah, wow. Paul, have you got any betting on this game?
In terms of turnover, I can tell you that 87% of turnover in that match result market is on the Argentinians. So it's almost a one-way street in terms of the flow of money, all going blue and white. And I can understand why. Of course, they picked up that big win against the Poms not too long ago. The fact that they've been a part of the Rugby Championship now for a few years has helped them, I think, expand their depth. And like Steve says, as long as they don't get over emotional, I think they're good for a win here against an English team that can't seem to get out of their own way. They're missing a couple of key players. Sometimes I think England look for problems that don't exist and find them. So I really do like Argentina here.
Yeah, I agree. I like Argentina. The Argentinians. I think the pressure is on England to perform much like the Australians. Everything you guys have said, I agree with. Take the money, take the value while it's there. I think we are recording this as a Wednesday, so to see that much money or turnover wise heading Argentina's way is pretty remarkable.
Yep, they're currently $2.05 in that match result market. The English are $1.82. The draw's at $18. As I said, 87% of turnover currently with Argentina.
Your prediction, Paul?
Give me Argentina 1-12 at $3.
I will second that. Steve, yours?
I'll go the same, but I've also put a $10 bet on their hooker to be the highest try scorer at the competition, currently paying $51. Like I said, RG will go deep into this tournament. They'll pretty much walk into a semi-final. And, the hookers, they're going to do a lot of rolling mauls. They'll play for penalties and kick down there. And the hookers, over the competitions, Super Rugby and even the Northern Hemisphere, scoring a lot of tries. So let's not think too much about wingers. Let's remember the hookers score a lot of tries, and Monteo is he's going to have a lot of time on the field. So there you go. There's my roughie for the weekend. At $51 is worth a couple of dollars.
Very nice, very nice. We'll be looking.
Is that a good segue?
We're looking for a little lunch if that one comes in. Segue into what?
A promotion that we've got on the tournament top try scorer market.
Perfect segue, Paul. Lead us away.
Right, so place a $20 or more tournament top try scorer bet. So it's your first $20 or more tournament top try scorer bet. And every time your player scores a try in the tournament, you get a $10 bonus bet. So if you take someone like a Will Jordan and say he scores 3 tries against France, you'll get $30 bonus bet.
Nice.
And you'll get a bonus bet every time he scores a try during it. So whichever player you place a $20 or more bonus bet on first in that top tournament try scorer market, he's then your player for the tournament. You can't change. That's
Love
it. So
There goes Steve. You doubled down.
sounds like Steve. I don't know if Steve put 20 on or 200.
I only put 10 on, but I'm gonna renege on that, and I'm gonna go put 20 on it now.
There you go. Double down. Lunch on Steve. Very nice. Alrighty. Next game, Steve's game of the round. South Africa v Scotland. South Africa $1.17 in the head-to-head market. Scotland $4.60. Dug into a little bit of research on South Africa and their defense in World Cup. So I'll get this out for you boys. Throughout their sort of tenure in World Cups, South Africa have obviously prided themselves on defense. They have allowed no tries in a game 19 times, 1 try 14 times, 2 tries 7 times, and only 3 times, twice versus New Zealand, once versus Japan, have they allowed 3 or more tries in a World Cup match. So that's the number, I think, Steve, Scotland has to try and get over the line, for lack of a better term, is 3 tries. Your thoughts?
Yeah, listen, it's going to be a tough game for the Scots, who actually play a pretty good brand of rugby, who don't mind throwing it around. Now, when we talk about the South African defence, what we got to understand is we struggle against the big time down here in New Zealand because it's the up and end defence that we don't get a lot of practice against. The Scots, however, deal with it a lot up in the UK and have been playing these South African teams in their competition. So that they really understand how to get around that up and in defence. So I just think the Scots, if they get it right, they're going to need to get a lot of things right. But if they get it right, they can win this match, particularly late in the game. They haven't been starting well in the last sort of couple of months. The games they've had, they sort of let the team get on top of them, and then they sort of fight back and get themselves in a position to win it later in the match because they've got a great ability to hang on to their own ruck ball, and they build phases and they build pressure. They get down into your half, and then they start to play some pretty good rugby. There's a good proportion of them, of the Scots are South African anyway. So it always makes, when you come up against your old country, there's always that little bit of extra effort going as well. So, do I think South Africa will win? I probably think South Africa will win, but do I think Scotland can win? I think if everything goes right for them, absolutely, I think Scotland can win this match.
I tend to agree with what you have said there, Steve. I think South Africa will win. I would love to see Scotland win, and I think they can. But yeah, as you say, everything needs to go right, and they need to play sort of the perfect game for it to happen. You've seen like the Scottish results over the last little while. They put 50 on an Argentinian team who, like we said, have beaten New Zealand last year, beat South Africa, beat England. So their brand of play, like you say, they throw it around. It's good to watch. I'm looking forward to this game. Paul, how do you see it playing out?
The 3 World Cup finals that the South Africans have won, those 3 finals that they've played in, the opposition have never scored a try against them.
Yeah, well,
All Blacks in 95.
Don't bring that up.
Last World Cup against the Poms. So they really they get better the further into the tournament they go, and their defense just sharpens up big time. I've had a look at the last 9 games between Scotland and South Africa. Scotland won one of them. So it's very, very hard to see Scotland getting up over the Springboks here. I'm very, very keen on the Springboks, as are punters. 68% of turnover in that match result market between South Africa and Scotland is on the Springboks.
If I can just quickly go back to that 3 tries stat. Scotland have scored 3 tries versus South Africa once out of 28 games, but have scored 3 or more tries in 12 of their last 15. So there's hope. There's hope there.
No, there's
okay.
No. I don't see it.
All right.
I'm just,
a good one to watch. The last game we're going to preview with is Wales $1.60, Fiji $2.25. The Fijians are coming in having won 4 of their last 5 and scoring 30 plus in all of those wins. They have lost to Ireland and France, where they scored 17 points apiece. Wales haven't scored more than 20 points in any of their last 3 matches. I love Fiji in this game. Steve, what about you?
Yeah, I'm on Fiji. I just think I think probably the biggest turnaround in World Rugby this year has been the Fijians, and that all comes down to the Drua playing Super Rugby. They've got these young, talented, homegrown boys that are playing Super Rugby level week in and week out, and you can just tell it's a different team. They often rely on their superstars, but they've got the feeder system behind them now. They've got their superstars playing in the UK, but they've got these hardened boys that have played good rugby week in and week out, and Wales. Let's be honest, they're going to play the most boring game of rugby you've ever seen in your life under Warren Gatland. They're going to kick. They're going to scrum and try and line out more, play for penalty advantages, and that's about all they're going to do. They're not going to offer too much at all. If the Fijians can get a little bit of ball, which I think they will be able to, if they can hang on to it, which I also think they'll be able to, they're going to be very hard to stop. And let's just hope for World Rugby that that's exactly what happens.
Paul?
Their set piece has improved out of sight, the Fijians, over the last 2-3 years, and a big part of that, a big thing that has played into that has been the fact that the Drua have been getting solid week in, week out football. So that's been a huge, huge plus for the Fijians. We've always known that they can throw the ball around and score tries from inside their own goal. This gives them another dimension. So that they can now, their line out and their scrum, they can maul the best of teams now. And the Welsh are in all sorts of bother. I really, I can't overstate this. I really, really like the Fijians here. I think they will go huge in this game, and I'm happy to take them. Look, they beat the English not long ago. They gave the French a wee bit of a fright before that, and they took care of all the Pacific Rim teams, the Japanese, Samoa, Tonga. So yeah, they've jumped up a tier in my estimations in rugby, world rugby. So yeah, I love Fiji.
Who's the referee?
Good question, Paul. I will let you tell us.
It's a bomb, Matthew Carley. Yeah.
That'll hurt a little bit. That'll slow them down.
I was really impressed with the way, I think I mentioned it last week, the way Fiji played against England and their timing and physicality around the ruck. They absolutely dominated the English. On top of that, their sort of second phase out the back footy was, I guess, typical in what we know as Fijian style, but it was a lot more controlled than what it has been in the past. It was razzle-dazzle, but it was razzle-dazzle with a bit of structure, I suppose. I think they're just going to cut Wales apart. And I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say Fiji 13 plus for me. Paul?
Yeah, I'm happy to take the 550 on offer as well. Fiji, I think Fijians get on top early. They will just get a bit of wind beneath their wings, and off they go. They will fly.
Steve?
Yeah, I agree. If they can get some try and avoid the breakdown by get some offloads going pre and post contact, just so we don't have a ruck every 2 minutes for the game. I think Fiji will win comfortably, and it's a big part of their game. Is first. I think they've learned now that they've got to go forward before they earn the right to sort of throw the ball around a little bit. So I think they can match them up front, and then if they can get those offloads going pre and post contact, I reckon that easily it could be easily 13 plus.
Yeah, good. $5.50, folks. Get on it now because I'm sure it will shorten.
A unanimous decision.
Unheard of on the Pick and Go podcast. The other games this weekend we're not going to touch on. Italy, Namibia, Ireland, Romania, and Japan, Chile. Should all be relatively straightforward, I would say.
Money suggests that as well. 90% on Italy, 80% on Ireland, 70% on Japan in their respective matches.
Okay. Let's move on to start one, bench one, cut one. Steve, I'm going to give you and Paul 3 players, and I want you to start one, bench one, cut one. The players this week, a little bit different, looking at 3 players across 12 years, 3 different Rugby World Cups. They all played for New Zealand in the 99 Rugby World Cup, the 03 World Cup, and the 07 World Cup. Your players this week: 99 Byron Kelleher, 2003 Steve Devine,
Well.
2007 Andy Ellis. Paul, start one, bench one, cut one, please.
Can Steve not go first?
No, I would like to put you under pressure.
I want to see where he puts himself. Who'd we have? So we had
99 Byron Kelleher.
Kelleher. Yep.
Justin Marshall was the number 1 in 99.
Yep.
2003 Steve Devine.
Yep.
Also behind Justin Marshall.
Yep.
And 07 Andy Ellis.
Was he behind Marshall as well?
Byron Kelleher was your starter in 07. I'm pretty sure. Yep.
Right. Okay, here we go. What do I got to do? Cut,
start,
bench,
cut.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start Byron Kelleher. Yeah, I am. I'm going to start Byron Kelleher. He was behind a very, very good halfback, and for almost any other country, would have had a long and illustrious international career. I'm going to bench Steve Devine because I think he would add that punch off the bench just when we needed it, and a little bit of mongrel as well if we needed some sloppy English forwards sorted out. I think Steve Devine would sort them out for us, which means I'm cutting Andy Ellis. There we go.
Steve, who are you starting? Who are you benching? Who are you cutting?
This is a bit of a stitch up, I think. I'm gonna start Andy Ellis because he's won a World Cup 2011. He was there and did the job, so he deserves the right to go forward. And then the other two, Byron Kelleher has played a lot of rugby. Didn't quite get the big tournaments ticked off being a World Cup. He had 3 World Cups, but we were both in the 2003 Rugby World Cup semi-final against Australia. I was told just before the last captain's run that they were going to go with Byron over myself. So we probably should go back to that game and do the same thing. So I'll probably start Byron Kelleher to come off the bench, and Andy to start, Kelleher off the bench, and I'll sit in the grandstand and have a beer, eh?
He's cut himself. He's done an Izzy Dag.
2 weeks in a row.
Izzy Dag cut himself behind, who was it, Ben Smith and
Goldie,
Jeff Wilson.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Ben Smith won a World Cup. I don't think Jeff Wilson did. So, yeah. You know, you got to go with you winners are grinners, eh, boys?
I'm going to play this week. For the record, I was with you, Paul. Start Byron Kelleher, bench yourself, Steve, and cut Andy Ellis because I hate the Crusaders.
Woo! One team, one dream.
Moving on. Controversy Corner, it's called. It's probably not controversial this week because I couldn't find a topic, but I thought we could discuss this. Biggest upsets in Rugby World Cup history. And are we likely to see a big one this year? I'll run through the biggest upsets in Rugby World Cup history. 91, Western Samoa beat Wales 16-13. In 99, I still remember watching this, France 43, New Zealand 31. I cried. 2007, New Zealand 18, France 20. I cried. 2015, Japan 34, South Africa 32. And then 2015, England 25, Wales 28. Of those ones, which is the biggest one for you, Paul?
The one I remember the most, France 43, New Zealand 31. I remember it because there was a story about a punter who I think was sent out to get fish and chips for the family. He popped into a TAB while he was waiting for the fish and chips, and he thought, what am I going to put some money? I know, I'll go for option 12, selection 12. So option 12 was the exact winning margin between France and the All Blacks, and selection 12 was France to win by 12 points exactly. So he put a few dollars on that, and I think it was paying $80 or $100. So, and the wife gave him one when he got home because she couldn't believe that he had put this sort of money on France to win by 12 points exactly, and he was the hero the next morning, big time.
Wow, that's I remember that game for a completely different reason. We watched it in form. I think it was Form 2. They rolled the TV into the classroom, and we watched it in the morning. And as I said, I cried at school. Steve, of those,
I hope they let everyone go home after that.
Yeah, it was tough. Of those 5, which one's the biggest upset for you?
I think Africa, Japan. The top teams, the top tier nations in the world on their day are going to beat anyone else, and it's no different to this World Cup. Like, the top 5 teams in the world, that's including Scotland, on their day they're going to knock anyone over. And just for a minnow, Japan to knock over South Africa in 2015, it was just phenomenal, right? Like, it's no one had predicted that. And they got it done. And, the only people that really thought it was possible was the Japanese team themselves. And, well played to them. And still, you can still watch that last try where they score on the corner, and it sort of almost brings goosebumps.
It's interesting that Japan sort of, what's the word? Their sort of timeline through World Cups 2015 and 2019 is, you can bring it back to their time in Super Rugby, and they've almost sort of paved the way or shown the way for the Fijians and what they can probably achieve this year. I think they'll be very similar to how Japan have gone in the last couple of World Cups. There will be an upset of sorts, probably multiple upsets at this World Cup this year. What do you think likely, Paul, the biggest World Cup, and if it's one of those top 5 teams that are tipped up, who does it hurt the most?
When you say hurt the most, you mean?
So if New Zealand, if New Zealand was to lose to Italy, that's pretty damning for New Zealand, right? We've never lost to Italy. If Australia was to lose to Georgia on Saturday, who's got the most to lose?
We're talking just about the opening games.
No, any
game during the tournament.
Yeah,
I'm going to say France losing to one of the other teams in the pool outside of the All Blacks. I think that would be huge. They've got it at home, and if they don't make it through and I don't think this will happen, but if they were to drop a game against, the Italians,
they lost to Tonga in 2011 and still made the fight. Like, I remember going to that game, and that was one of the biggest upsets. I'm surprised that hasn't got a run here.
Yeah.
Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, just the French. The French not making it out of pool play would be the biggest upset for mine.
What about you, Steve?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of teams that are, you look at England right now, and they're expected to go. Yeah, they're expected to win the tournament by a lot of English fans, but they've lost 5 from their last 6. They haven't been playing good footy. There doesn't seem to be a lot of direction. There's a lot of shoulder work that can rule people out of tournaments, and red cards and yellow cards, they all come into play. I think if anyone's going to get upset, it's going to hopefully be an English team. I also think the same for the Australians. They've lost their last 5. They're not playing good rugby. They seemed a bit lost. They've picked a really inexperienced team. you can't buy experience, and in the big tournaments, the experienced boys stand up. So they've taken a young squad, and that's just another reason why I think Georgia is just primed to take Aussie apart. The more the Aussies play together, the better they're going to get. This is the first game. They're probably looking further down the track, the Aussies, making sure they get wins against their bigger opponents in Wales. So. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Georgia knock over Aussie this weekend.
Like it. I kind of agree with Australia. I think they're in all. We've already said they're in all sorts, but an upset loss or not making it out of the pool could damage this young team going forward.
They're $1.04 to make it out of the pool.
It's not going to happen.
Imagine how many beers Dave Rennie will be having that day.
Oh, so I wasn't the problem.
Yeah.
Shout out Dave. We have to get him on the pod. One for me is Ireland not making it past the quarterfinals, which they've had issues with in the past. And being the number one team in the world now, there's a lot of expectation on them to perform. And a lot of people have them going through winning this, but there's a very real chance they come up against a good, All Blacks team or a French team in the quarterfinals and don't kick on. So, yeah, I think Ireland for me.
Yeah, Ireland also have to, they've got Scotland and South Africa, then a quarterfinal, then a semi-final. They don't even do that in Six Nations. They don't play 4 or 5 weeks in a row. They play 2, have a week off, or have 2 weeks off. So. Yeah, it's a big task. There's a lot of pressure going in on them, but they are a very tight-knit group. They're a very strong rugby team. They know how to play rugby. And I think you play 5 games in a row, I think you're a chance of getting injuries. And jeepers, I don't think they have the depth other teams do. They have a very good 22. They don't have a lot outside of that. They lose Johnny Sexton early, and I think their competition's over.
Nice. That's what we want to hear. I'd love to see Scotland go through. Alrighty. The last segment of the show, we're going to get to some betting. Paul, have you got any more numbers, any more big bets or anything you want to share with us before we get to our little bit of play money?
Just on that opening match, the France All Blacks game, the biggest bet on the All Blacks in the match result market, $1,050 on them at $1.82. And there's been a $1,000 bet on the All Blacks in the head-to-head match, in the head-to-head market at $1.77, and $1,100 on the All Blacks to win by 13 and over at $4.20. The biggest bet on the French in that first match so far has been $300 in the match result book at $2, and $500 on the French in the head-to-head market at $1.97.
Interesting. We will see betting ramp up on that in the next couple of days once teams are announced.
Yeah, the big boy. Most punters are waiting for the squads or the starting 15s to be named before they put down some serious money. So once that happens, the turnover will just be going through the roof.
Look out. All right, Steve, we give ourselves $100 of play money, if you will. We're going to track these bets over the course of the podcast. See who's got the best return. So you've got $100. You can do with it whatever you want. Let's go.
$100 on Georgia at $13.
Woo!
Easy money.
Easy money. I think it's is it $13 or is it $10?
Oh, they dropped down. I got them at 13 a little while ago. So
unfortunately for the podcast, it's going to have to be at 10s.
Oh,
I'll write that down. Georgia. Easy. Paul, your $100 this week.
So the first match, I'm going to go the French to win by 12 and under. I'm putting 50 on that.
Yep.
I'm going.
What's that paying? Sorry.
That was paying $3.
Yep.
I'm going Fiji 13 and over in their opening match. That's $5.50. I'm putting 20 on that.
70. Yep.
And look, you pointed this out earlier. I was tempted to put some money on one of the tournament power plays, and there are plenty there for punters to get stuck into. 100 or more points scored in any individual match is paying $250. That does look like a very, very juicy selection. But I've sort of looked elsewhere, and it's sort of a negative bet.
Of course it is.
Well,
Of course it is with you.
I just hold on a minute. I just wanted to point this out. Scott Barrett, Dane Coles to receive a red card. That's paying $13. So I'm going to be putting 20 on that. I just think
it's good money considering Scott Barrett's been given the last 2 red cards for the All Blacks.
Indeed.
Surely he's learned a lesson.
That's it. So there's me handy.
So 30 on that. Was it?
No,
20 on that.
Yeah, it was 30 on the Fijians, 13 and over.
Okay. I've got 3 plays this week. I am going $50 on Fiji 13 plus at $5.50. I've got $30 on South Africa 11 to 12 at $3.30. And then I've got a 3-leg multi. France, New Zealand, either team 7.5 or less at $2.20. Argentina in the match result at $2.05, and Fiji in the match result at $2.30. So 20 on that at $10.37. That is my $100 for the week.
Beautiful.
That's us, I think.
Well, don't forget the other
promos.
The other promo we've got going on the Rugby World Cup. It's the try-saving bonus back promotion. Back a first try scorer, and if your player doesn't score the first try but scores the second, third, or fourth try, we'll give you your money back as a bonus bet up to $50. Just head to the TAB website, check out all the T's and C's. But obviously, once the teams start getting named, the bookies will get those markets out, and you can have a first try scorer bet in all of the matches. So yeah, try saving bonus back.
And of course, to any new punters out there, anyone looking to get involved, there is a new deposit offer available for you. Deposit $10 and you will get $10 bonus bets. It's $100 in bonus bets for a $10 bonus, $10 deposit.
New customers.
Not bad. New customers only.
Boom.
Steve is looking.
Looks like I'm changing my email address.
Remember, if you are going to have a bet, please do so safely. For all your Rugby World Cup betting needs, head to our France 23 betting hub on the website or app. It's
got everything there.
Look, we've got tables. We've even got the podcast up there, the video from last week, power plays, all sorts. Love it. Steve, thank you very much for joining us today on the Pick and Go podcast. It's been a fun one.
No worries, boys. Thanks for having me, and go Georgia, eh?
Go Georgia. Paul, thank you again, mate. Good stuff.
Yes, Ray Charles would say, Georgia. I like it. I'm keen to get stuck. I'm not going to get the 13s. I'll take the 10s now.
And that's where we will leave it, folks. Thank you guys for listening again. And we will be back next week to preview the next round and look back at what happened in this opening week of the Rugby World Cup. Cheers.